Hey everyone, Switch here. It's time for me to answer my 9,000 Q&A questions. There were only two people that asked me questions this time. My friend Cody and Robert Freeman. Each one of them did ask me plenty of questions, with a total of combined for their questions were up to 35 questions. I'm still proud that be able to get that many questions to be able to answer. But anyways, let's start with Cody's questions first. Cody asked me 15 questions. Number 1. Is it still sad that Rarity still hasn't returned Spike's feelings? And he said, because they're truly made for each other. I know it. Well, Cody, my answer is, yeah, it is a bit sad that Rarity never admitted her feelings for Spike during the show's run. But as we both know, it's possible that she could have done it off screen, you know? That's another possibility. As I was in the final episode of G4, with Spike being a bit older, it's possible that Spike and Rarity could have been dating at that time, or perhaps even been married. But it was never much given a hint to that or anything, but we can always just hope for that. That's all we can do. His second question is, what century was it in Twilight's time period and later in Sunny Starscout's period? Well, Cody, this question is a bit hard to give much an answer to, but considering that in an Equestria, they're using the term moons to measure times, like many moons ago. But in our world, we're using years. So, to give it that perspective, it may never been much given a correct answer to what century Twilight was even born in, considering that you mean like if you refer to the century that she was born in, and during her time as the ruler, and considering that, it's not really sure exactly. And as for the Sunny's time period, well, given the fact that Sunny lived a few hundred years after the G4 series, but that is another thing. We don't know for a fact exactly how many centuries. And as even though Sunny said when she was talking to Spike that it had been a few centuries, so given the fact that century is just only 100 years, but using the word centuries, well, that is a bit difficult. It can be 200 years, it can be 300 years. But another thing is, in the fact that there is actually one hint to exactly how many years it had been between Sunny's birth and the time between G4. Given the fact that her family had this blanket, would have been passed down for 10 generations, and 10 generations in our world is about roughly 250 years. So, given that, much a rough estimate, so maybe 250 years has passed between G4 and G5 time period. But exactly what century was during Twilight's time, yeah, it's not really much difficult since they never gave much any answers to exactly the century, only by using the time measurement of moons. So, yeah, we may never actually give much an answer to that. But at least from that though, I hope at least that answer will satisfy you at least. His third question is either Sunny or Sib perfect for Hitch? Now that is a good question, Cody. But taking this into consideration, that Sunny and Hitch had known each other since they were very young, since they literally grew up together. But since Hitch started to get to know Sib when they were still like in their 20s. So personally, I think Hitch should have been with Sunny, since, like I said, they had known each other much longer than he had known for Sip. But that not alone should also even consider just that, oh yeah, he should just be with Sip, with Sunny because they had known each other for so long. Well, not necessarily. He could still develop feelings for Sip even to having known each other that long. But in my personal belief, it should be Sunny. It's just because they had known each other for much longer. At least from that. His fourth question is, in the Sonic series, do you ship Rouge with Knuckles? Yes, I do. Because even though I have been given hints in the games that Rouge has some feelings for Knuckles, but even though that Knuckles himself may not be aware of that, but I do believe Rouge and Knuckles should fit well perfect together. His fifth question is, would it be possible for either the current version of Spike or a new version of Spike to appear? That is a good question. But consider that at least one thing, Cody. In the previous My Little Pony series, Spike had been in it. Regardless from that, but when G6 will be made, depending on when, of course, it's just two things here. One, if it will be continue from G4 and G5, well, and also depending on how many years that will pass in from G5 to G6. It can be just only 10 years, it can be 100 years, or perhaps even 1,000 years. So, yeah, it's just a little bit difficult to say exactly, but it's possible that he could maybe end up in G6, maybe as much older version of himself. But they're also considering that if G6 will be a whole new universe that will have no ties to either G5 or G4, and Spike may actually reappear as a new design, maybe as a smaller version himself, again, as much in G3, G4. So it's possible in either that Spike could have been in G6 if they decide to continue from G5, and that, of course, if he will be a bit older, and also another possibility that they may actually make a whole new MLP generation, but a whole new land not tied to any of the previous generations, and that means also no other the Twilight and her friends not being in it. So yeah, there's possibility in those two, at least on that. His sixth question is, if you play Beyblade, would you either be attack, defense, stamina, or balance type? I'd be more like probably defense type, even though I haven't played Beyblade in many, many years. So I may have to say defense. His seventh question is, why can't other MLP fans see how important Spike is than just always Twilight and the rest? I mean, Spike deserves shine more and more than just saving the Crystal Empire. That includes for the fans to make fan videos for his new responsibilities. Well, Cody, I understand from your frustration that many fans is disregarding Spike as part of the main characters, even though in one of the many conventions way before 2019, someone even asked why they never made Spike as a main character. Well, they replied that since the show was mainly for about girls, so it was not space for making Spike as a main character, but I understand that you're feeling a bit frustrated and upset that many fans are don't think that Spike should have been given as much a chance to shine, especially like giving him a special episode, maybe like a two-part, or maybe perhaps a musical episode for by him. Well, it just I understand from your heart that Spike should have been given more chances to shine. Because in the previous seasons of G4, many fans didn't even like as much. And I understand from that, and I also understand from some fans maybe, but things like, hey, this is just a show for girls, and Spike is a male character, and he's just a baby, and he just giving him some time to grow up first. Allow him to just enjoy it as a baby that it didn't have to focus on being as a young adult so fast. So, but it may be that, but I agreed they should give him some more time to shine as well. His eighth question is, when Generation 6 comes, what are the chances the voice actors most of us known will be part of it, like Mark Hamill, Kenan Thompson, Kel Mitchell? Well, considering at least for one small detail of a famous actor like John Delancey, who is also known for his role as Q from Star Trek. So, considering that, and that he was the voice actor for, well, for Discord and Weird Al as for Cheese Sandwich, and that is Sia for Songbird Sinade from the MLP movie back in 2017. So, having that Mark Hamill as a voice actor for one of the characters in G6, now that would have been very much interesting. But there is another possibility that we may have to consider from this. Like, there can be many reasons why many fans, like my friend Cody, wants this voice actors to be in it. Like, say, how about Keanu Reeves playing as a voice actor for one particular character? Well, there is also possibilities, like if that the G6 will be made as in 2026, and that Hasbro reached out to Mark Hamill or Keanu Reeves, and that they may think, oh yeah, people would like to be in the voice actors for this particular character. But there is also a possibility that we may have to consider. Like, there were at least, like, say, in the Sonic the Hedgehog 2, that after that movie, Jim Carrey was considered to retire from acting. So if he had, he wouldn't have played the role as Eggman or Robotnik in the third movie. And even if he would appearing in it, they wouldn't even be actually him, more like AI voices or something, or CGI face. But yeah, it wouldn't even be like that. But even if say that Mark Hamill would have been interested, and on the day when he's gonna be, he may have declined. Well, if I had to say, having Mark Hamill, Kenan Thompson, Kel Mitchell as a part of the voice actors from G6, now that would have been cool. Especially Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker. Can you imagine? That would have been an amazing voice actor. And even more awesome, Mark Hamill and Keanu Reeves in both in that. Now that would have been very much cool. But yeah, I agreed. His ninth question is, how much do you care for Spike? He said, I always care for him because I feel and share the same ways about feeling sometimes unappreciated, and other fans should care the same too. Well, Cody, you already know my answer. I care about Spike, truly. In fact, even though Spike looked way different in G5 when he was CGI and was much older, but I can still see him when he was an older version of him, that he really still deeply cared about the Pony kind, despite that all of his friends was long gone. But I truly care and love Spike. He is actually one of my favorite characters in the G4 and the G5, mostly G4. His 10th question is, why couldn't there be a 2 or 3-part episode MLP G4 more about Spike, like he was facing a future villainous version of himself, like Danny Phantom faced his evil future version of himself? Well, Cody, now that would have been a really interesting story plot for a 2 or 3-part episode. I mean, there had been quite a other series, but they were running into a future version of themselves as evil, like you mentioned, like Danny Phantom. I like that show, and I remember that episode though. But yeah, it would have been very interesting to see. At least, I think it would have been much an interest and also a very good story plot. His 11th question is, why do some other MLP fans treat Spike like he's somewhat self-centered or selfish? Because that's unfair to me. Cody, this is something that has been appearing in many other shows before, other from My Little Pony. But I agree with you. Spike is not even self-centered or even selfish. People like, what about the episode when he turned greedy? I mean, can you consider that greed is maybe as part of the dragon's nature? Yes. But that has only happened just once in a show. And from that day, he learned from his mistake not to be such greedy. But doesn't even say that he is selfish. Not at all. Far from it. Anyone can be selfish. I mean, considering Spike has always been treated so badly throughout G4 from season 1 to season 9, while into the later seasons, I believe season 7 to season 9, he started to be treating a bit better, but there were still occurrences that he was still mistreated. But I do not understand why. But even though in G4, that was a much better since he only appeared in 2 episodes, but still. Spike shouldn't be treated as much as an self-centered or selfish. There have been a few episodes that, like say, what about in one particular episode when Twilight and Spike have been in the castle for a few days working when she learned that her friends had been spending time with Discord, and she first believed that her friends was under some form of spell or something from Discord. And it would not have been the first time, considering that he corrupted them much earlier seasons. So she was a bit selfish in that. So people shouldn't see him as self-centered or selfish, in my opinion. His 12th question is, if I were to make my own MLP movie, would you be interested in watching it in the theaters in the future? Well, yeah, Cody, absolutely. Even though I never went to see the My Little Pony 2017 movie in the theaters, but I would definitely do that. I would be very interested to see what kind of storyline, what kind of villains will appear in it, and if it'll be G4 or G5 or maybe something else. But I would be definitely interested to see that. His 13th question is, what are your usual struggles in life? He is trying to find a girlfriend, filled with some jealousy, waiting too long, and fear, especially fearing death itself from being a thing. Well, do I have struggles in life? Oh yeah, oh yeah, many struggles. Some of the struggles what I had was when I first moved to my own place for the first time and sleeping the first few nights. I was a bit struggle at that, and I also struggle in order to, you know, living by myself. But I did struggle also for a while, long before then. That was also way before when I met Phi Goddess. That there were times that I struggled to find someone to be with. Before I even met Phi Goddess and the girl before her, I was single for almost 7 to 8 years. I was struggling to hope to find someone one day, and I wasn't even on the urge or the edge to simply give up. But there is another struggle that I also had, and that is to meet Phi Goddess. As you all know, Phi Goddess and I had been trying for at least a few years now to be able to meet. One time when her dad passed away, and that was unexpected happened, but I told her to just stay with her family. After all, you can only be at your dad's funeral just once. And of course, when COVID happened, it's yeah, that was not much that we could have much done because, well, it was something that we couldn't even predict that happened. But now we are hoping to able to finally see each other this summer of 2025. But is there any else that I struggled in life? Well, yeah, there has been a lot of some more struggles, but yeah, but I always try to figure out it as much as possible I can. His 14th question is, how would you feel if there was an actual zombie outbreak? First, I'd be like, wait, is this for real? And next were, in fact, wow, survival. I would like, I needed to fortify my home just in case if this were to be a zombie outbreak. But I also know that I would not be able to stay this my apartment for the rest of my entire life if there was a zombie outbreak. So, what I do? Well, simply pack some supplies that I have and leave and arm myself. But what kind of weapons would I use? Well, first, no firearms since I don't even have any, and firearms can only provide you protection for a short time until you run out of bullets. So personally, if you were to be in a zombie outbreak, firearms may only be a second option as weapon in survival. I personally would have been rather be use a sword because bullets can eventually run out, and as in Sweden, you can't just simply go buy some new bullets almost any gun stores like in the US. So yeah, here it's a bit tricky with that. But how would I feel if there was any actual zombie outbreak? Well, I would be terrified and even question if there's any even actual real, you know? Unless it is some sort of prank or anything, but if it's real, I'm like, oh shit. I will be armed and living and hope to find place that I can be in fortified and hope to find other survivors to help. His 15th and final question is, if Rarity couldn't be the one for Spike, who else is perfect for him, in your opinion? And Cody said, still Rarity or Smolder. Well, considering that there are many female characters that would have been a perfect match for Spike, but if it wasn't rarity, but if I just consider from the other main six minus Twilight, I may have to say either Fluttershy or even Sweetbelle. You may even ask why. Well, since Spike knows them both well, and Fluttershy is a very sweet, she is, even though she's timid, but she's very caring. As much as a perfect romance partner should be. And Sweetbelle, well, she's pretty much the same, and she's a little bit more closer to Spike's age. To roughly, at least. And, but yeah, at least that's what I think. Either Sweetbelle or Fluttershy, in my opinion. But there could be others, but those two are my favorites. And that was the Cody's final question. Robert Freeman had asked me 20 questions. His first question is, what if Sombra, when he lost his body, he takes over Twilight's body like possesses her? Well, even when he did appear in G4, he didn't actually have a physical body as much as the rest of the pony kind, because he wasn't even an actual pony, at least when he later appeared. Celestia said when she told Twilight about the Crystal Empire, what she knew about it, that it was once ruled by an evil unicorn king. But when he returned, he was more like a shadow pony. So it's a mere possibility that if he loses his actual body, it wouldn't be his body, but more like just a temporarily physical form. But as a shadow pony, he may be almost like a type of, maybe a form of ghost, and that will be possessing Twilight. But yeah, I think it's possible if his shadow form would have been like a ghost. Then he could have been able to possess Twilight. But there is also a possibility that even if he tried possessing her, her mind and body and will might be stronger than that. But if he did lose his actual body, could he, well, possess her? I think it's possible in that. His second question is, what if Twilight found out that Firelight is her uncle? And if you may know who Firelight is, that's basically Starlight Glimmer's father. And yes, Twilight in Shining Armor has an uncle, because she did mention her uncle during the Canterlot wedding. But he was even mentioned by name. So how would she even react if she learns that Firelight was her uncle? Now, take from one thing. Like I said, she didn't mention her uncle's name. So, presumably, let's say if she found out that Firelight is her uncle, let's say that if that perspective, and as a part of the question, if she knew she had an uncle, but an uncle that she never had met. So, if she learns that Firelight is her uncle, how will she react? Well, she will have been quite shocked in the revealing that she is related to Starlight. But how would she find out? Well, let's see if she and Starlight are going to Canterlot to see her family, and Starlight are looking for an old photo album, and seeing a photo of Twilight Velvet, Twilight's mom, along with a stallion who Starlight immediately recognized as her father, Firelight. And even when she revealed this to Twilight, that and even asked how Twilight's mom knows Firelight, and even though Twilight may not actually know this herself, but after her mom tells them that Firelight is her brother, both Starlight and Twilight will be shocked to learn that they are cousins. More and as much that. So that is what I think that how Twilight would find out about her being related. His third question is, what if Rarity adopted Cozy Glow? Well, considering that Cozy did mention when she met the CMC, she had moved to Ponyville recently. But she never mentioned with who though, like parents or siblings. So, considering that after she had been released from her stone statue prison and being reformed, and also to learn that her own family had left, and that they don't had nothing to do with her since what she considered what she tried to do, and that will makes her an orphan. And if Rarity offers to adopt Cozy Glow, there would be considered many questions like, first, would she be even to have enough finances to even raising and support a filly? And I had to say yes, because not only she has her boutique in Ponyville, Manhattan, and Canterlot, so she is financially supported and stable. So I think Rarity could definitely raise and adopt her. His fourth question is, what if Starlight's tail got stuck in a sewing machine? Oh, first she will be panic, scream, freak out, and well, in that confusion, all those in that panic, she may try to get to use her magic to get unstuck, but if she isn't focused, clear-minded, she may end up being more stuck than she was before. And another thing, what exactly would she have done if it end up being stuck in a sewing machine with her tail? Well, let's see, it's another one scenario that I can think of. Like, what if she's walking by a sewing machine and her tail is moving and it end up being hitting a sewing machine and it starts and, well, starts sewing into her tail, and is which will make her stuck in it. Well, due with the help from Rarity, who is more knowledgeable and more skilled to use a sewing machine compared to the rest of the main six. So Rarity is most likely the one that will be used to help her to get unstuck from that. His fifth question is, what if Twilight died and ended up in the Nightmare Before Christmas universe? Now, that is a unique question. But considering from this, that the Nightmare Before Christmas and My Little Pony are from two separate universes. And let's say from that, if the Nightmare Before Christmas universe would have been as equal to like the underworld, and that most other universes are connected to that, but it would have been very much unique to seeing Twilight or her friends when they eventually passing away and end up in the Nightmare Before Christmas universe as their afterlife. If they did, now the main question is, how did it even look like? I mean, would they remain as themselves, but being dressed as some costume, like I don't know. But it's a very interesting question. His sixth question is, what if Twilight joined Cozy Glow, Tirek, and Chrysalis and became evil? Who would replace her as Princess of Friendship? Well, you may assume maybe of one of the other previous princesses like Cadance, Luna, or Celestia. Now, they will not be able to do that. After all, Celestia is the princess of the sun, Luna, which is the princess of the night, and of course Cadance as princess of love. But who would be the better candidate as princess of friendship? Well, if you don't include the other main six, there is only one other female character that I can definitely say would have been the perfect candidate as a new princess of friendship. Starlight Glimmer. You may ask why. Well, considering that she is a very powerful unicorn when it comes to some spells, she had learned spells that hasn't even been used in such a long time, like the duplicate spell, like when she's made duplicate herself, and even the speed spell. So I think Starlight would have been a perfect candidate as a new princess of friendship if Twilight would eventually turn evil and join Tirek, Chrysalis, and Cozy Glow.